Sean Diddy Combs, a prominent figure in the music industry, faces a challenging road ahead in his pursuit of a presidential pardon following his recent legal troubles. Found guilty on 2 out of 5 counts related to transportation for prostitution, Combs' chances of receiving clemency from the U.S. president appear increasingly slim due to his past public statements and strained personal relationships with key political figures. The complexities of his case, combined with his outspoken criticism of former President Donald Trump, have significantly clouded the likelihood of executive leniency. Approximately 3 months ago, speculation emerged that President Trump was considering a pardon for the disgraced rap mogul. However, in a recent interview with Newsmax's Rob Finnerty, Trump indicated a shift in his stance. He described Combs as sort of half-innocent, suggesting that while the rapper was acquitted of more serious charges like racketeering and sex trafficking, the guilty verdicts on prostitution-related counts still cast a shadow over his legacy. Trump noted that Combs remains incarcerated, awaiting sentencing, and described the rapper's earlier celebrations of a partial legal victory as premature. "He was celebrating a victory, but I guess it wasn't as good of a victory," Trump remarked, hinting at the gravity of the remaining convictions. The relationship between Combs and Trump, once amicable, has deteriorated significantly, particularly since Trump's 2020 presidential campaign. During an interview, Trump reflected on their past, stating that the two had been on friendly terms until Combs made critical remarks during the election period. "We were fine, and then you run for office and he made some terrible statements," Trump said, acknowledging the difficulty of overlooking personal grievances in decisions about pardons. He emphasized the human element in such choices, noting, "We don't like to have things cloud our judgment, right? But when you knew someone and then they say things like that, it makes it more difficult." Combs' public statements during the 2020 election cycle were particularly pointed. Just a month before the election, he appeared on Revolt TV, a media platform he founded, and expressed strong disapproval of Trump's leadership. He accused Trump of rattling America and suggested that white men like Trump need to be banished. Combs went further, labeling Trump's rhetoric as dangerous, particularly citing the former president's "stand back and stand by" comment, which many interpreted as a call to arms for certain groups. "This man literally threatened the lives of us and our families about going to vote," Combs stated, framing the election as a battle of love versus hate. He made it clear that his top priority was to see Trump removed from office, a stance that now appears to have lasting repercussions for his pardon prospects. The legal troubles that have ensnared Combs stem from a high-profile federal trial that captivated public attention. The charges against him included serious allegations of racketeering and sex trafficking, which carried the potential for a life sentence. However, the jury acquitted him of these graver charges, finding him guilty only on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, involving his former girlfriend Cassandra Cassie Ventura and another woman referred to as Jane. These convictions, while less severe, still carry a maximum sentence of 10 years each, though legal experts suggest that sentencing guidelines might result in a combined term of around 5 years. The trial, which lasted nearly 2 months, featured testimony from 34 witnesses, including Ventura, who detailed years of alleged abuse and coercion by Combs. The trial's revelations painted a troubling picture of Combs' personal and professional life. Witnesses, including former employees and associates, described a world fueled by drugs, violence, and manipulation. Ventura's testimony was particularly damning, as she recounted multiple instances of physical abuse and coercive sexual encounters orchestrated by Combs, known as freak-offs. Text messages presented in court showed Ventura confronting Combs, stating she felt like somebody's child rather than a rag doll. Another witness, Jane, described a violent 2024 altercation where Combs allegedly choked her and forced her into non-consensual sexual acts. These accounts, while not sufficient to convict on the most serious charges, have left a lasting stain on Combs' public image. Combs' defense team, led by attorney Mark Agnifilo, has been vocal in framing the verdict as a partial victory. Agnifilo described the prosecution's case as overzealous and celebrated the acquittal on racketeering and sex trafficking charges as a significant win. However, the guilty verdicts on the prostitution counts have kept Combs behind bars, with a sentencing hearing scheduled for October 3rd. His legal team has filed motions to vacate the convictions or secure a new trial, arguing that the evidence was insufficient. They have also requested bail, though prosecutors have countered that Combs remains a flight risk and should stay in custody. The possibility of a presidential pardon has been a topic of intense speculation, particularly given Trump's history of granting clemency to high-profile figures in the entertainment industry. However, Combs' case presents unique challenges. Survivors of his alleged abuse have mobilized to oppose any potential pardon, with some drafting a letter to Trump urging him to reconsider. The letter, reviewed by Rolling Stone, argues that granting clemency would send a devastating message to survivors everywhere that their pain and truth are negotiable. The survivors have expressed a willingness to meet with Trump in person to share their stories, free from legal or media spin. Trump's advisors have also cautioned against a pardon, citing the sensitive nature of Combs' charges and their potential to reignite controversies surrounding Trump's handling of other high-profile cases, such as that of Jeffrey Epstein's associate Ghislaine Maxwell. The political fallout from a pardon could be significant, particularly as Trump navigates his administration's priorities. Combs' outspoken criticism during the 2020 election has further complicated the dynamics, as Trump has indicated that personal loyalty plays a role in his decision-making process. "I would certainly look at the facts," Trump said earlier this year, but his recent comments suggest that Combs' hostility has made clemency less likely. The broader context of Combs' trial reflects the complexities of the #MeToo era, where high-profile figures face scrutiny for allegations of abuse and exploitation. The case has drawn comparisons to those of Harvey Weinstein, R. Kelly, and others, with prosecutors alleging that Combs used his Bad Boy Records empire to orchestrate illicit activities. The testimony of former assistants, hotel workers, and escorts provided a glimpse into a world of excess and control, where Combs allegedly wielded his influence to manipulate those around him. Despite his legal team's efforts to frame the encounters as consensual, the jury's verdict indicates that at least some of Combs' actions crossed legal boundaries.